I'd only recently arrived in Los Angeles, and I was working at Hans Zimmer's studio.
Mm-hmm.
And Hans at the time was working on Gladiator, and he was the composer who was employed to do the score for Hannibal. And now Hans knew that I had a background in choral music, and he asked me to write it. And originally, I think the studio didn't even want the scene because he said, "Oh, opera's boring, why bother with that scene?" But Ridley was insisting on it, and so they were looking for a piece that would be 50 seconds or 40 seconds, I can't remember. So I wrote a sketch, and I sent it to Ridley, and Ridley loved it, and he said, "Can you make it longer?" And so I made it 2.5 minutes, and I remember going to Florence when they shot the scene, which was a great experience. And I met Anthony Hopkins, hung out with him, which was a real joy. And then when the movie was finished, in post-production, Ridley asked me if I would write a longer version of the piece for the end titles. So that's where Vide Cor Meum came from. And then later on, I decided to write an entire opera on Dante, which was premiered in Germany last summer. And that fulfilled a lifelong ambition as well, to write an opera and have it premiered. So that was special.
And
Yes.
can we expect an album of the whole Dante's opera?
Yes, well, at the moment I'm working on trying to get a second production in Italy, and I think we're well on our way to getting a second production. And I think when we get the second production, I'll then look at maybe trying to make an album at that stage of the whole piece. Yes.
Awesome. And it's the first time, I think, that Dante was adapted as an opera, as a full opera.
Yeah, it's astonishing, but nobody had come up with this idea, which made it perfect for me, because I always like to do things that haven't been done before. And I actually couldn't believe it. And when I talk to people about the opera, they say, "Are you quite sure Dante has never been set to music before?" Well, no, he hasn't. Yeah, and I also made a love story, because rather than having the 3 canticles, which are Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, I decided to start it in Dante's first book, La Vita Nuova, which is a deeply spiritual book. And in this book, he meets Beatrice. Beatrice dies at a young age. And then that is the first act, and that leads into the second act, where Dante, he writes the Divine Comedy, La Divina Commedia, in her honor. And the opera ends when Dante and Beatrice meet again at the gates of paradise, and we have a reprise there at Vide Cor Meum, and Dante finds his Beatrice after his arduous journey through the Inferno and Purgatory.
So you had to read the whole thing, right? You had to get familiar with the text.
Yeah, and I also had to learn the Italian language as well to really understand it. And so my Italian is not perfect by any means, but I have a good working knowledge of Italian as well, which was a necessary part of the process. So it took quite a while for me to write this opera.